Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to MidDay Café for your cup of caffeinated goodness. And I'm one of your hosts, Mike Giannotti, here today with
Tyrelle Barnes.
And Tyrelle. So I'm all smiles right now, and I'm kind of laughing, but we're here for a serious topic today.
Yeah,
and
that's right.
We're going to have, so just to kind of lay the groundwork, we have been talking to lots of organizations this past year around corporate communications. And today, Tyrelle and I want to have a very frank conversation about, first of all, what the challenge is that we're seeing from in a number of organizations where we think that, look, sometimes you're getting in your own way, an impediment to your progress and moving forward. And we want to talk about some of those facets in the first half, and then we're going to break into the solution. So, as we think about some of this, Tyrelle, some of the problem, why don't you lay out some of your thoughts? Because when we were talking beforehand, you're doing a great job of that.
Well, I think one of the things, and this is different sized organizations too, so it doesn't matter if it's large, small.
Yeah.
What I hear a lot about from like specifically corporate communications teams is they'll come and they'll be like, we want to figure out if people are reading our emails. Like we're trying to, send communications out to employees. And I kind of want to take a step back and say, really what the goal is that you effectively meet those employees where they're at, no matter what device they're on, no matter what their role is, no matter what, part of the organization they're in or geography they're in, and with the messaging and communications that they need to know, right? Personalized for them. And so if that's the goal, then looking at how many people are reading emails isn't really going to help, right? So if you want to,
I was just going to say, who wants to read? I watch my language in this one. Who really wants to sit and read emails all the time? I mean, right. I'm not doing that on here.
No, I mean, that's not like, if you think about in your, personal life, when you're not at work, how do you get information? How are you engaging with communications that you're interested in and news feeds that you're interested in? You're probably on your phone, and you're looking at different apps, right? And so if we want to get that mindset, so I really think it's like almost a mindset thing, Mike, is what I hear from a lot of these teams where they're thinking about this big portal that they built, like you were saying, like 5 years ago, right? And they remember the pain and the cost and how long it took to implement and get that portal set up. And now they're thinking, oh, I got to update that portal, and it's going to be another, year-long or longer kind of thing that's going to cost so much. And, we've really come a long way and evolved in being able to deliver, through omni-channel communications to employees with all the, newer technology we have available today. So that's.
You hit something really on the head. I want to kind of circle back to around, and this is what I hear over and over again. They come to us, and I get it all the time, get dragged in because, I've been doing SharePoint since before it was SharePoint, when it was Tahoe. And so a lot of folks, they know me as Mr. SharePoint, and they're like, oh, we got to talk about our intranet overhaul. And it's this because that's been the mode since, even before SharePoint in the 90s. I think about some of the big, content management systems and these large corporate efforts where the original promise of portals, where it's the be all, it's where you get all your information, access to your applications, all this and this and this and this. And it became this huge monolithic beast that every so many years they needed to overhaul, which necessitated this big multi-million-dollar contract overhaul, redo, whether done in-house or with contracting outside agencies to help. And it took a long time. And you know, I see people stuck in that mindset because they've been doing that essentially since the late 90s.
Yeah.
Right up until now. And they're still getting caught up in that mindset that.
Right. Yeah. And it's almost like you got to modernize think like a startup almost. Think about starting as like greenfield. You know, and when I say greenfield, that means a new approach. Like we don't have anything yet. How do we get started? Versus brownfield. Well, we have this giant portal we built when it's very customized and we did it all 5 years ago. But the goal was the same. It was to meet those employees, different employees on where they're at with the right communications that they needed. So,
well, you mentioned employees, and again, this is just part of the problem for the solution. But you know, I hear all the time, and I want to reach out and throttle people when I hear this. Well, we want to ensure that they're seeing it, so we have a policy in place that when they log in, the first thing that automatically comes up is the corporate homepage. And I'm like, do you think anybody is flipping reading that stuff? They don't care. We know from research, they don't care. They're moving on to, I got to get my job done.
Yeah.
None of that. So it's like, and you said it's people, right? What do they need? What are they expecting? And I think as we start to look at, you know, getting away from this monolithic approach, and I love that you said greenfield, because really this is an opportunity to cut the cord, because contrary to the pushback I hear all the time, and the people who say this, if you're listening right now, you are wrong when you say this. We're talking frankly, you are wrong. And here's my pushback. When you say they can't handle change, I don't know who you're talking to, because, well, I don't know, grandma is pulling up their phone and logging on to Facebook and getting news and information, or they're on Instagram, or they're on X, or whatever. There's a TikTok, there's a million social media platforms, Snapchat. They're on all these social media platforms. And if grandma, and even great grandma, she's still alive, can get on there, even with those apps always changing stuff, and we just had it through this out, that, and blah, 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 with no training, no user anything enablement, where people squawk for a few days or a week. And guess what? They get on with it and they're still using them. If they can handle that, and that's their expectation, we talk about consumerization of IT, where there's an expectation. I want simplified ways. I want an app. I want something simple. I don't want to go here for this and then go to HR for this and then go to learning over here. And I'm going to be a bit all these modalities, and you're throwing me here and everywhere. I want a single place to go. I want it simple. I want what I need. And the idea that people can't handle that right off the bat, you're wrong. If you're saying that, you're wrong.
I mean, my kids' grandparents literally comment and see Instagram posts that they post before I do. Because I'm working. Wait a minute,
they don't email you? No. They don't email it to you? Your daughter doesn't email you her latest comments?
No. If I want anything from my kids, they get a text, And it's usually, if I don't hear from them, I have to do a text. Did you get the check? Did you get the money? Did you get the Venmo? And then they're like, what Venmo? Like, I get instant response from that. Yeah.
Yes. So, but it's all through that simplified mobile first experience via this. And so if you're in IT, this is what you should be thinking about first and foremost, and not a one-off app that does this. Well, we have an app for our corporate portal, and now I got an app for learning, and no.
So that's the other thing, Mike. I'm so glad you mentioned that, because that's the other thing I'm hearing and seeing at customers is very siloed approaches to this. So what needs to happen is HR needs to be talking to corporate comms, needs to be talking to learning, needs to be talking to the business, and everybody needs to have representation on communicating through these, omni-channel places. But, making it simplified for the employee. So they have that single pane of glass approach where they can go to that one app and they can get all the information personalized for them that they need, that they're going to actually see or read or care about, and if they want to find out, hey, how many, vacation days do I still have? Or, they can check it right there in the same place that they can also hear from, leadership about, the latest from the last quarter or what have you.
I'm glad you said that, because that leads into kind of really our, so we're getting all, and I get fired up because I've been, I've heard this for years, and you're like, it doesn't have to be that way. So
right.
At Microsoft, we do have solutions. It all starts for us in what we call that single pane of glass to get work done, which is Microsoft Teams.
The Teams app.
The Teams app, which I have on my iPhone. You can have on your Android phone, you have on your PC, you can have on your Mac. A single place to go to get stuff done. And this brings something else up. You're a Microsoft 365 customer, and you're like, yes, but we do best of breed approach. And so we use for our voice and meetings, whatever app or service, and not Teams. But we own Teams, but we don't use it. Okay. I don't know what to tell you, but
I know one thing that I've noticed, Mike, is if you join a Teams meeting, if you're in Teams and you open your calendar and you join a Teams meeting from there, right in your calendar, it's much quicker than if you're in Outlook and you try to join the Teams meeting from the Outlook app. I've just noticed that small little difference. And because I have heard feedback from friends who are actually in leadership, and they're like, can you give me a little tutorial on using Teams? And it was that one little thing, like, hey, start to join your meetings through Teams. If you're in Teams, go to the calendar, then join your meeting. It's a little more seamless that way.
It's more seamless. And again, it's the single point to get to whatever I need, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So like, email, I tell people with the volume of email I get, you can email me, but I may not ever read your email. There's a there's a better than 50% chance that I will not even see that you sent me an email.
I don't think I ever email you. I just give you a Teams chat. I ping you.
Teams chat, which is essentially text through the unified app, right? And again, think about globally popular apps like WeChat and others that some of the others are evolving to. Facebook's doing the same, and others where they're trying to be that be-all app, right? So you message people directly, you do all these other things. That's people are used to doing this. So again, that idea that no, they can't handle that, and it's like, okay, you're wrong. Okay, enough of my negative, my downer, Debbie Downer. But
I think people are expecting consumer grade apps and resources at work now. Yes. And even, across generations. And we have all these generations in the workforce now. And especially the younger people coming in, they expect that. But then the people that have been there for a while too, I mean, everybody's used to this kind of change now. And so I think that, having leadership in corporate comms and other areas of the businesses getting on board in that mindset would be really helpful.
So as we move now into solution, I totally agree. I mean, as we talk about and then we'll share some stuff in just a moment. But a couple of things that come to mind for me right off the bat. Number one, a simplified way for people to, portals have typically, I've seen some customer portals and that have evolved over the years, and they've become this giant, link repository of noise. I'll just call them noise. There's just it's too much, right? So this idea of a simplified interface to get to consume the top information that I need, have it presented to me right off the bat, to get to that, to connect me to my applications that I need, right, based on my role or whatever in the organization, and have that available. And then also to connect me to those extended, connected, and engaging experiences that not only push information to me, but then allow me to interact and engage, and again, have it all here, wherever I'm at, my desktop, PC, my Mac, my iPhone, my Android, tablet, and have it all simplified.
Yeah.
And we actually do that, don't we?
We do.
So let's go through some of it.
Okay.
Well, before we do, anything you want to add on that around, because also you were asking, because you mentioned some of the metrics people are looking at, and we do some of that.
Oh, we have fantastic, not only metrics that you can measure, like where employees are engaging with the app and what part of the apps are engaging, but also sentiment analysis. So you can start to get an idea of how they're feeling about whatever that leadership, meeting and connection was about, and what they're asking for. And so being able to measure that is just another employee listening and voice of the employee data point that you can bring in when you're trying to understand where you're at in employee engagement, and then how they are, kind of consuming and receiving messages and communications, so that we have a whole set of ways that you can look at the analytics behind that, which is fantastic.
Awesome. Yes. And that's huge, right? And, I like the other thing I like too, and we'll get into this, is also that proactively going out and polling, and from manager right up to corporate level, right? So there's just a ton. So I've shared a couple of things. And what I thought we could do is start at the very top.
Okay.
And I do want to highlight one thing. Well, we're going to show people you can spend a lot of time and angst and running around and doing all this. But I can tell you that as a principal technology specialist, one of the technologists, what I'm going to show is technically not difficult.
No.
In fact, I've done some demos that you've sat in the past where I built out the entire system that we're about to show, and I've done it on the fly. And how long did it take me?
Maybe 30 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, that's why I get like, my head wants to explode every time I hear, we have a 8-month engagement at $5 million to do. And I'm like,
yeah, because you care, because we don't want people to spend a lot of money and time that is unnecessary, when these solutions are more plug and play now, and walk you through the setup, and it's very user friendly, and it's just a mindset change. It really is.
And the last, and then I promise that is the last. I'm going to say the last is, if you go that approach, you're already behind.
Yeah, because by the time you're done, your stuff's outdated. I mean, it's just changing. You can't, it's, or some big disruption might have happened and things completely changed. And now you've got to you didn't even finish the project because everybody had to kind of get resourced onto something else that became more important. So this is really an agile approach, that's a modern approach, and that anybody can do with just a little bit of guidance and some time. So yeah, let's.
All right. Yeah. So I'm going to use both a demo environment as well as production stuff to show.
Okay.
I always like real world. So let me go ahead. I'm going to share my screen, and we'll talk about each of the elements as we go through.
Yeah.
We're not going to spend it. We could spend hours on this, because each one could consume an hour, but go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I think we're talking to a customer this afternoon about this very thing, right?
About, a portion of that. That's correct. Yeah. Yes. The multi-channel communications. So I'm in our demo environment. I'm going to start off there, which is Smarter Health. And a couple of things right off the bat. When I opened Teams through the browser, right off the bat, my default view was this Connections, part of our Viva platform, Viva Connections. And to roll out this baseline view that we're talking about as a customer to get started, number one, the cost of it is for a Microsoft 365 customer. What does it cost for them to set up this modern entry point?
It's included in their Microsoft 365 platform. It comes with it. So it's free. Yes.
They paid for it. So
you already paid for it. So it's not an additional cost. It's already available to you, and it's already set up internally. The framework's built out. So yeah, it's just a matter of you enabling it.
Yeah, you turn it on and then you say, what do I want here? And so just right off the bat, we can see, you know, we have some things moving around, right? So I see this is news that's coming up. And so
and it knows who you are. It says, good morning, Michael. Mine says, good morning, Tyrelle. Because it knows, not only does it know who we are, it knows what time zone we're in. Because it's utilizing that intelligence that's already available in the graph through your, you know, Microsoft enterprise agreement or the agreements that you have. So it's already intelligent.
And the beauty of it, again, people are going to have trouble seeing this, but so here I am. This is my iPhone, right? And I'm going to bring over our corporate one so people can see how it's the same. And I can go around some of that. So this is the real world here in Microsoft. And so here you can see the same icons on the dashboards, the same news is available. It's all right here built into my Teams app. It's in fact, and IT can push this, it's the very first thing on my Teams app. First icon. So, and I get full fidelity. It may be laid out different because it's a phone, not a big screen, but I'm getting all, again, that corporate news, like you said, that can be targeted. I have a dashboard with things like, you know, my learning. As of yesterday morning, I was 3 overdue. I caught up. I had that pointed out to me, so I caught up, and I have another one coming up I got to do. But so I have my learning that you talked about, that integration of these other, what's important to employees. I'm not going to separate places. I can access right here. Yes,
the warning comes to you. We all get pinged, and we get pinged multi-channelly too about our learning.
Yes. We've got third-party integration, right? So pay stub, that's not coming from, I think it's ADT or whatever this comes out of. Stock awards is a whole other. Perks. These are all third-party pieces that are here, right? We have, you know, time off reporting. I mean, all kinds of things that are important. Other account news, send praise to colleagues, reminders. I can see more and go in here and see additional ones that they want to make available to me, and it's pulling those up again. Personalized. So they might look different for somebody in a different role or a different geography, different location, but that's all here. And then, you know, we have quick links to all my top things, right? I need to get to my benefits, company store. We have more of those. So I've got all the top links that they're pushing out, making available. And then my whole experience, how I interact with others, how I check my, you know, work-life balance and health, my learning, engagement, surveys.
I saw someone asked you for your perspectives. So that's how we share feedback with each other at Microsoft on, you know, that we can incorporate into our performance reviews and such. So it's
send praise. Yep. Has asked for feedback. Somebody else asked me. Thank you. I didn't know yet. Because normally it used to come to email.
Email, right?
And guess what? I never looked at.
Right.
So there it is. And it's right up front and center. I love it. Love it.
Yeah.
But it's that central space. And here's the kicker, right? People say, yeah, but what about your intranet? So we're still doing the news in our corporate intranet.
Yeah.
And I'll
Yeah.
pull it up.
And the
Right? It's still
carousel
here.
and- yeah.
But they simplified it. It's not this be all anymore. It is really that news piece that I never go here because I don't care. And it's
Right.
not a separate, but I'm getting my corporate communications things from my corporate comm folks right front and center that I can engage with. I can search. I can look at extended. I can go to, my automated feed of information across all the networks and things that I'm in. It's all here, right?
Yeah.
And so, I get it all in that central spot. And again, all that's available on this. And to get started, they don't even need to update their SharePoint.
Wow.
They can simply turn this on and start using it directly.
So let me ask this, Mike. So say I want to do this. Say I've got, my team in corporate comms, and we want to test this out on ourselves. And there's 10 of us. Could I turn it on for the 10 of us to start to use it and see?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. So there's a couple of things, right? So number one, when you turn it on, nobody has access to it except the administrators at first. So you have to explicitly add groups to it, right? So you're going to turn it on, and then you need to also make it available in Teams. So the policies that people have been using for years, where they can say add an app to the rail and target it to just this group, all that's still nothing.
That applies. So they can do that. Okay.
Yeah, and they can target who has it, sees it, and can interact with it.
And a group can just be like a distribution list, right? Or a team in Teams. Those are groups.
A team in Teams is a Microsoft 365 group, security-wise. Yeah.
Yeah. And so if you do, by doing that, everything's already secure. The security trimming follows through. People aren't going to be able to access information they don't already have access to. So but it takes in all and carries over all of those security trimmings and such, so that you are already in compliance. You don't have to worry about that. So yeah, it's an easy way to get started. It's
done. And so this now becomes, instead of that big intranet portal project, you're leveraging modern app. You can do branding, change the name, put your own logo, there's a bunch of stuff. And they continue to add to that. And I've had pushback on, well, we have to have this, this, and this. And I can tell you, your end users don't care. Again, they're used to a modern app. When I go into any of the modern social apps, I'm not getting all kinds of big banners and colors and it's to draw people's attention to the things like that are, that are important. So this provides that for you. So you can go in, there's a level of customization and we keep increasing, but to turn this on, the initial turn on is literally a checkbox.
Okay. In the portal. And then, it's one thing to anticipate what you think employees want or need or say. It's another to go ahead, start a pilot group with your teams and, team and teams that you want, and get the actual feedback. See what they really say when they're trying to engage with this, so that then you can, you can take those learnings and you can be operating on actual feedback versus what you theoretically think people want or say or need.
Yeah, absolutely. And so now you've gone ahead. You've had no additional incurred expenditure. You've provided a modern thing that's following the norms that people are used to in their personal lives, right? There's very, very few people anymore today who don't expect, are not on this thing, on social apps of some kind. So now you have, your users accounted for with something modern, fresh, simplified, not a big, overly noisy piece. And then you can provide these additional features that you can iteratively add and roll out.
Right.
But, this here is still that kind of that push and self-service access to apps, apps and information.
Yeah.
But then the next piece is engaging people.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, we call, and you can rename on your apps, Viva Engage.
Yeah.
So I'm going to hit it. Earlier, there was no, there we go. Oh, thank you, Kirk. I love Kirk. Kirk's awesome. So, I always check this before we do anything, or I'm going to show it to make sure there's nothing sensitive coming up. But Kirk posted something for National Haiku Day. So, engage is this idea that it facilitates, number one, communities and employee self-service for assistance and help around given topics. And you can see here's communities that I'm a member of, where I can post questions, thoughts, and ideas, cut across organizational silos to communicate, right, with the people who actually do things. Has all that here. We have a leadership area where our leaders that choose to participate are posting out their thoughts and ideas and engaging employees in a moderated fashion, where there's safeguards around what's being replied and all that.
Yeah.
And they're all, go ahead.
And that's where you can measure sentiment analysis too. So that corporate comms team on the back end can measure how employees are feeling and what they're saying and how they're engaging with this leadership communication.
Yeah, and it's awesome because, like, if I dive in, this is the feed coming out of it, where they have some things, leader communities, sponsored campaigns they're doing, some other leaders you may want to follow. But I can come, I'm not going to go into any of theirs because that is awful. It's for me to share and show.
Yeah.
But you can see here, it's showing me based off of hierarchy, right? Our VP or my VP for healthcare, and then going right on up to Satya. That's hierarchical leadership. It's then showing leadership team that I'm involved with, right? These are ones that I follow explicitly. So like Dan Holm, I had the other day, he was on a webinar for us. So he has a regular. Jeff Teeper, who I've known for, I'm going to say it's been now 24 years. Awesome guy, the guru, the godfather of SharePoint, right? And all things collab. Kurt is awesome. But I follow these people explicitly because I want information from them. Then I can go and I can peruse, all leaders, and I can dive in, look at their stuff, or just click follow. And again, start now to connect with the sources of news and information that fall outside of what might be the traditional ways of pushing a news post, but allowing our corporate leadership to communicate, leveraging the power of AI where needed to simplify and shorten their time, but also be able to engage in conversations.
In a consumer grade type of application that this, is very similar to something that they might use in their personal time if they're following influencers and such. So it just brings that kind of experience to work and makes it more fun and easier. It is much more intuitive, and we're able to gather many more analytics and insights for leaders versus just, are they reading my emails?
Yeah, and again, going back, like you were saying, that consumer grade experience. So, here I am in my communities, right? Ones that I follow. I'll be in a meeting with a customer and they'll ask something about Microsoft Stream. I'll be here and I'll say, I'll just post, open that up, my communities, and I'll go into the Stream one, or I might have one about Viva Amplify or Viva Engage, or any of the areas where product group is active, subject matter experts are active, and I can post a question or a suggestion. I remember I posted about podcasting, and I got contacted by the Stream team about taking requirements for future things. They're like, hey, that's great. We'd like to meet with you. And so
See, and I'm so glad you mentioned that, Mike, because we are customer zero for all these solutions. And when I say that, that means that we're using our research to figure out how we, start out with our, minimum viable product. We roll it out to our employees, we get feedback, we test it, we iterate. And then once we get it to a certain, level, then we, offer it out to customers. And so we have been using this and testing this for quite a while now by the time it gets to the customers. So we've learned a lot, and we're happy to share. We do have a way to set up an engagement with our corporate comms team at Microsoft, if that's something that other customers want to talk peer-to-peer about. We're happy to do that. But yeah, we really want to just share this goodness with people.
Yeah, and the idea is simplifying, right? So it's leveraging things that people are used to this paradigm. And I had somebody again the other day, I had a customer, and they said, there's a lot going on in here. I don't think our people can handle it. And I remember I looked at him and said, well, I'm going to push back. Do you think your users are using Instagram? Are they using Facebook? Are they using Snapchat? Are they using TikTok? They're already doing it. So what are you trying to tell me? He's like, well, yeah, but we'd want to. And I said, look, if you want to moderately turn on the features, yeah, that's all available. And you can start off with it more bare bones and iteratively add if that's a concern. But whenever I hear that, I think, are you not in touch with, and what are you using at home yourself? You're not, going back to your point, you don't email.
Right. You don't email your kids, if you really want them to get something and respond quickly to, something that could change tomorrow, and that's the thing. Things are changing so dynamically. It's just in our world that, you might have this, say you do go on this journey of doing this big project, it's going to take a year. You might get 3-4 months into it. You really haven't done much, and then some huge disruption comes and everybody has to get re-resourced, and so you're still stuck with whatever outdated portal thing you were using before, and it doesn't get addressed, and then or if you do end up building the big new portal, by the time it's done, things have changed again.
And I'll just say, if you're building a big new portal, you're outdated before you even start, because big new portal is already done. That's 90s, 2000s tech. And yeah, people it's like putting lipstick on a pig. It's you're doing all the latest look and feel, make it do, and we got this and this feature and this feature. Your users want simplicity.
Yeah.
And they want to mirror what they're already doing in real life. So communications here, with Engage, and even allow now as a user, I can post, and we have our electronic terms that we do every year, our training. So how you can post and what you can post. And if you're in violation, you're held accountable, just like you would if you sent out a mass email that was bad. But we can get all these things here. We have AMAs. Again, that's a modern thing. Set up an AMA.
Yeah. And that's another thing I want to mention, Mike, is a lot of times some customers, like if they really want to get this kicked off, they need to find a few leaders that are, want to be a part of it, and have them set up their, AMA session, or have them set up their, Viva Engage, what do you want to call it? Like
their leadership corner,
their leadership corner, or their community. Yeah. And that's going to draw the employees in. So it really is, when you start to see leaders in your organization start to set up these sites, then you're going to get employees to start to engage with them. And you can even make it fun and make it as a little competition between leaders, and really that is kind of fun. And it brings employees much more closer into communication with those leaders, so they feel more engaged automatically.
they get that empathetic connection with the org and with their leadership, right? That they're not getting. And the last thing on this part, everybody always asks about, well, what about AI? You know, and people are like, I don't have time to sit here and type out a whole post. So, you know, a couple of things that we do here to make it easy. One, I can have AI draft my post. So, hey, create a post explaining how Viva Engage, will just what we're talking about, can increase employee engagement and meet them in the channels they are in. And we always have spell check, which is a beautiful thing for me. And so I can go sit back, just, hey, I want to create an article. Maybe I want to get that first draft instead of sitting here typing. And instead I go, just tell me this.
Oh,
and this
it's
is actually
fantastic.
how I do.
And it makes me feel so smart because it makes me sound so smart. Look at that. Wow.
Boom. And I can edit, add to.
Yeah.
But we're
have it shorten
simplifying.
it. Hey, you know, shorten this into 3 bullets, or, you know, and it gives you more prompts you can try.
Yeah, more ideas. Here you go. Right. So we are modernizing that, and that's all that kind of rich feature. That's engagement. But then just the last couple of ones I want to hit on quickly, and then we'll cut away because we should do a webinar.
Yeah,
go
let's
through all
do a
this end to
webinar.
end.
Yeah.
And have it be bring your hard questions and objections.
That's a great idea, Mike. Let's do it.
Like I might have upset some people today. And that's okay. Come and yell at me.
Yell at Mike. And you know,
so
I'll be there to support.
That's right. She'll be sending me side messages. It's okay, Mike. They're there now. The last couple
pilot check the tone.
Yeah. This one here, so I can't use this in our corporate environment, but I can in here. So I believe, did we set it up? Yeah. So if I come here, Viva Amplify, you talked about omnichannel communications.
Mm-hmm.
And here you can see I can get started. I have a campaign. So we can set up campaigns where we do posts in Viva Amplify. And the beauty of it is, I'll just open up this example one here. It allows me to create a single messaging post that I can push out to my corporate portal, simultaneously to teams, to channels, and conversations there. Also to email, if you so choose. And have it appear on my connection. So, and engage.
And I mean, I love that. And you do one thing here, and then it goes out to all those channels, all those different places that an employee might see it. And for me, I tend to be kind of busy and get double booked a lot. And so I don't miss things because it's everywhere. It's hard for me to miss it. It finds me.
Well, the beauty of it is, like, you can set up your teams on here, right? And they can collaborate. You can set up workflow. It's all built in. It's all point and click for it. And then, like, here's an article that, we did one, right? And so then to have it go to these areas, it was simply a matter, it's already been published, of checking the boxes. And so here we checked Outlook, SharePoint, and Teams. 3 different things. You can come in and preview what it'll look like in those at any time. They have writing guidance. We have distribution campaigns. But it's simple. We tried to make this all very, very simple. So I can come in here, do that. You can have your templates pre-done, use those to drive out. And the idea is simplifying for the corp com folks, we want to make this all easier. And then the last thing with any of this, right, when we're looking at these different ones and these various channels as we're publishing out, we've got the writing guidance and all that. You can see the publishing details, is then having the ability to come back and for any and all of these have a single place, so that if I want, I can then look at the campaigns and then get in the one place instead of going to Outlook for Outlook, messaging. Where is the stuff going to? How are users accessing it? How are they go into the reports for an individual one? Like, this is a demo environment, so there won't be a lot here. But you can see, I'm seeing, hey, how has it gone out? What's my reach and engagement? I can drill into that. We also then have, how have people been accessing it, right? So here it's these SharePoint, and then make all these drillable things so that people can get detailed views as to what are the channels it's going out to, what are people accessing it via, and getting reporting in one stop.
I love it. Now this Amplify is not included. There is a little bit of an uplift of a cost, but
Correct.
Reach out to your Microsoft team, ask about the Microsoft Viva CNC bundle. We have some great promos, and they'll be happy to get you information and help you get started.
Yeah, and we'll cut it off here, I think, just because of time, but if we could have went on then with surveying, which is built in with the Viva employee experience suite, where you have manager surveys, corporate surveys, to feed back into all of this.
Why don't we do part 2, and maybe next time we can go into that piece.
Yes, and I can sit back and listen to you. No, I think it's great, but I think we'll definitely we'll put a webinar, because I'd love to we'll do both. We'll do this next time, and maybe next Friday we could record it, and then schedule a webinar for a couple of weeks out.
Sounds great.
Let's tackle that, the employee communications and engagement experience webinar.
That
awesome.
Sounds fun. Awesome.
Before you leave, you doing anything fun this weekend? Yes,
actually, and I was going to tell you about it because I know you're in the Triangle area. So this weekend is the Hillsborough River Park concert. So it's a free concert in the park here in downtown Hillsborough. It starts at noon, ends at 8 p.m. There'll be artists, there'll be food trucks, there'll be 4 or 5 bands. It's all free, and it's a great, way to have some fun this weekend. So I'm part of the sustainer group that puts that on, and so that's what we're doing this weekend. How about you?
Very cool. So I've started a project in my Forge. I will just let's see. Just show you where I'm actually been posting about it. So I've been doing little blurbs. So I recently was given a piece of history to forge a commemorative piece with. And so what happened was the USS Texas is the last floating dreadnought. It was a battleship. Dreadnoughts were this new class of ship which became battleships, but it was commissioned in, they finished building it in 1912.
Okay.
And it was commissioned after all of its sea trials and refinements in 1914. And at the time, in 1914, it was the most powerful warship in the world. Powerful enough that it actively fought throughout World War II in both the Pacific and the Atlantic. And it just underwent dry dock repairs in Texas, and it's a floating museum.
Okay.
And as part of that, they took some of the armor plating and other things that needed replacement off, and it was distributed to people with the Texas Artisan Society for use. And a blacksmith who received some of that steel was making a cutlass, naval cutlass out of a piece. And I was like, dude, that is just so cool. And he's like, Mike, would you like a piece? I have a little bit left over. And so I have worked the initial workings of the steel, and that's why I have some of these posts. Worked it. I got it. It was about this long when I got it and thick. And I took that, and in my forge, I worked it out into a rectangular shape. Then I did what's called surface grinding and other stuff. So now I have a perfect bar of it. That the next step is on Saturday. I began my testing. I want to make sure I'm not doing any step without making sure I do it all right. I don't want to. This is like, to me, as an ex-military vet, as a vet. As a vet.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you. As a vet, to me, this is like sacred. So every step I want to make sure I nail. So I'm setting up a series of, I have to do what's called forge welding. The steel itself is not great for a knife. So I have to work that in with a knife, a high-end knife steel. So I'm going to create a jacket. But before I do the jacket and forge weld it to make sure it all goes right, I have a series of tests with other metals up until to make sure all those go right. And then I'm going to finally I had cut off a little strip of it. I'm going to take that with the metal that I'm going to do with the big piece. And then we're going to do a final test with that. And then I'll be ready to go ahead and do the forge weld. So it's very lengthy process. So I will not be finished Saturday.
It sounds like I will not see you at the concert.
I will not be at the concert. But I just want to make sure I get it. But for me, this is, I love this stuff.
This is your Saturday fun. I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
And how cool to have a piece of history that you're remaking and giving another, life.
It's going to be when I finish, because it's the Texas. When I think Texas as a knife maker, I think of the Bowie knife in the Alamo, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because Jim Bowie at the Alamo, and he had his Bowie knife and the whole thing. So I'm going to make a Bowie knife out of it, and I'm going to have the silhouette of the USS Texas electro etched along the blade.
Wow, that sounds so fun. Cool. You'll have to show us on the podcast when it's finished.
Oh yeah, yeah. It'll be all over. It will be it is my most ambitious thing to date by leaps and bounds. So so that's me. All right, I got to shut up now. So that's it.
I loved that. Awesome.
We're going to do a part 2.
Part 2.
A webinar where people can bring their questions and you can comfort me when I get yelled at.
Yes.
And have a great rest of your Friday and a great weekend.
Thanks, Mike. You too. And to everybody, hope the same for you.
Till next time on MidDay Cafe. Have a great one, everybody. Ciao.
Bye-bye.
And let's stop recording.